let's bring in EWTN's senior Vatican analyst, Francis Rocca, who joins us from the EWTN Vatican Bureau.
Welcome, Frank. You have covered global religion and the Vatican for nearly 20 years, most recently for the Wall Street Journal and now for the National Catholic Register. Is it unprecedented for a pope to attend the G7, and why did Pope Francis accept this invitation?
Well, yes, that's right. That's the first time that a pope has attended a G7 summit. The Prime Minister of Italy invited him, and also several other non-member guests, including the President of Brazil and the Prime Minister of India. And the Pope clearly saw this as an opportunity to speak about artificial intelligence, which is the topic he spoke about, and also, I think, to meet some of these leaders in one place, and was sort of one-stop shopping. He was able to meet President Biden, President Macron of France, and so forth in one location, and with a relatively short trip down to Puglia and back to Rome the same day.
Frank, this topic of AI is not new to Pope Francis. He chose artificial intelligence as the theme of his 2024 peace message, and he himself has been caught in the middle of AI-generated photos that went viral last year. Frank, why is the Vatican invested in this topic of AI?
Well, yeah, he spoke about specifically the concern that there be human control, that this not get out of control of human beings. And for example, with autonomous weapons, he had a striking phrase to the effect that no machine should decide whether a person lives or dies. So he's worried about that. He's worried about, for example, the use of AI in the justice system, in determining whether how people get sentenced and whether they get parole or not. These things need to be under the control of human beings. So that was something that he stressed very strongly here again today.
And Frank, with this attendance at the G7, were you surprised that Pope Francis decided to attend, or is this in line with how he's been supportive of multilateral relations throughout his papacy?
That's right, and he has been, and not only, it goes back farther. I mean, the Vatican and the popes have been. Paul VI went to the United Nations in 1965, gave a very dramatic speech calling for an end to war, and Pope John Paul went 3 times. Pope Francis went to the UN in 2015 and even talked about the possibility of going again this year, although that hasn't been confirmed. This is, one interesting point for me is that some years ago I was interviewing Cardinal Loris Capodilla, who was the private secretary to John the 23rd, and he said that he told me that John the 23rd had been inspired by the United Nations, by the foundation of the United Nations after the Second World War, as a model for the Second Vatican Council. He said, why don't we get together and talk that way too? So that shows the kind of value that the papacy has placed on these multilateral organizations. But another note I think interesting is how far we've come, because right after the First World War, there was the League of Nations, and the Vatican wanted to join and was not allowed to do so. But 100 years later, a century later, we see that the Vatican is very welcome. The Pope is very welcome at the highest level of these. I think that shows that the Holy See has staked out for itself a role as a kind of neutral arbiter that most countries trust.
Pope Francis also held bilateral conversations with a number of world leaders, including U.S. President Joe Biden. They last met October 2021. Frank, what do we know about their diplomatic relationship?
Well, when they met the last time at the Vatican, in the air was a lot of tension over the question of abortion, because Pope Francis has been very strong speaking out against abortion. And we know that President Biden has made the promotion of abortion rights, or protection of abortion rights, as he would see it, as a centerpiece of his campaign. Now, probably looming larger has been the questions of peace in Ukraine and in Gaza. And the Vatican has taken a different stance than the White House. The Vatican has tried to be neutral in both conflicts and called for a peaceful resolution of both conflicts. The White House has been strong supporter of Israel and of Ukraine, so there's a bit of tension on that score.
Well, knowing that issue of Ukraine and Gaza, it was speculated Pope Francis wanted to attend the G7 so that he could have a platform to call for peace in both Ukraine and in Gaza. Did he have that opportunity?
Well, he met with President Zelensky of Ukraine, and so that was the Vatican has tried for a while to offer itself. The Pope has offered the Vatican as a kind of broker of a peace negotiation. So far, that hasn't happened, but I think he's showing that he's still always available for that and seeking that.
And Frank, it was a very full day for Pope Francis because he traveled to the G7 right after meeting with more than 100 comics, stand-up comedians, and humorists. Here's our Vatican correspondent Colin Flynn with one notable Catholic comedian in attendance.
Where are you from?
I'm Colin from EWTN.
Hello, EWTN.
From Ireland originally.
There you go.
This way,
The Eternal Word television network.
Whoa, 10 points.
I occasionally catch a mass.
Always good to have another EWTN viewer. That is Stephen Colbert of The Late Show, who frequently mentions his Catholic faith during his shows. Also in attendance were Whoopi Goldberg, Chris Rock, Jimmy Fallon, also a Catholic, and Conan O'Brien. The Holy Father invited the comedians to establish a link between the humorists and the church. Francis notes that they have the opportunity to be a voice of forgotten situations, to highlight abuses and point out inappropriate behavior, to help people think critically by making them laugh and smile. So again, Frank, a full day for Pope Francis. How unique was this papal visit with the comedians on Friday?
Well, I can't think of any precedent for it exactly. I mean, we know that popes in the Renaissance had court jesters, and so in this case, that might be something similar. In fact, there wasn't a lot of joking going around at this meeting. It was a fairly, serious talk, but there was a good feeling. People were very relaxed by all accounts, and so I think it was unusual also in that respect. For sometimes these meetings can be very serious, and I think it was very joyful and relaxed.
Something not so unusual for Pope Francis. Thank you so much, Frank.
Thank you.